What actually makes a band a legend? For Metallica, it wasn't just the riffs or the drums. I'm talking 3 legendary bass players, and each one completely changed the band forever. You have your favorite, I have my favorite, but who was the most important? Today we're going to settle the biggest debate in metal. Cliff, Jason, or Rob? I'm telling you, Metallica isn't just one band. It's 3 bands. A trilogy. And every single volume was anchored by the man on the 4-string bass. To really get Metallica, you have to kind of understand the insane shift that happened every time a new bassist plugged in. We're not just talking about changing a member. We're talking about literally changing the band's DNA. We have the genius who taught them how to write music, the workhorse who carried them to world domination, and the powerhouse who saved them from breaking up. Each era has its anthems, its fans, and its controversies. This is the insane story of how 3 different bass players built the biggest metal band in the world. To understand how legendary Cliff Burton was, you have to see what Metallica was like before him. They were a fast, raw garage band from LA with their original bassist, Ron McGovney. They had energy, but zero soul. Imagine a supercar with a V12 engine, but no steering wheel. That was Metallica. Cliff Burton was the steering wheel, the suspension, and the navigator. James and Lars were so desperate to get him that after seeing him play at the Whiskey A Go-Go, they made a decision that would change metal history forever. So Cliff was a Bay Area loyalist, and he just refused to move to LA. So then what do? Well, the band packed up everything and they moved everybody to San Francisco. Just for him. It was the single smartest move they ever made. When they first saw him on that stage, they literally thought he was a lead guitarist. He was shredding, bending notes, using a wah pedal, and nobody was doing that on bass in 1982. When they realized that sound was coming from a bass, they knew they hadn't just found their new bassist. They had found their musical guru. Cliff was really built different. While other guys were learning rock licks, Cliff was actually at a junior college studying classical music. He was listening to stuff like Bach and Beethoven, and he brought classical music into a thrash metal band. Kirk Hammett has actually said many times that Cliff was the one who taught him and James about harmonies and musical structure. James, obviously one of the history's greatest riff writers, he learned how to write dual guitar harmonies directly from Cliff. Cliff was basically the band's professor. They were at Cliff's music school. His gear was also as insane as his playing. He started with a crazy modified Rickenbacker 4001, swapping out pickups to get that perfect tone. And this bass was his weapon on Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning. He later got his own signature Area Pro 2, which kind of defined his sound on Master Puppets. But the bass was only half of it. Cliff's real secret was his effects that he used. He had a Morley Power Wah pedal for those insane guitar-like screams, and an Electro Harmonix Big Muff Pi for that fuzzy distortion. He was like a mad scientist for tone, creating a sound that could just cut through 2 guitars and still punch you in the face. His fingerprints are all over the first 3 albums. On their first album, he dropped Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth, and this wasn't a song with a bass solo. The entire thing was a bass solo. It was insane. On Ride the Lightning, his power just grew more. He got writing credits on 6 of the 8 tracks. And just think about the intro to For Whom the Bell Tolls. For years, everybody thought that was actually a guitar. Wrong. It was Cliff on his bass using a wah pedal. Then there's Master Puppets, which is maybe the greatest metal album of all time. His masterpiece is Orion. That beautiful middle section, that's all Cliff. He's literally playing a song inside of a song. I mean, it's genius, really. His legacy is just but pure, fearless innovation. He only played with his fingers, giving him an attack that was completely unique. So typically, bass players will either play with their fingers or they actually will play with a pick like a guitar player. But then, tragedy struck. On September 27, 1986, the band's tour bus crashed on ice in Sweden. Cliff was thrown from his bunk and he died instantly. He was only 24 years old. And the world lost a true genius. Cliff Burton, he just left a hole that could never be filled. He gave Metallica their ambition and their melody. He was their genius, and without him, there wouldn't be Metallica. So how do you replace an actual legend? That was the impossible task which faced Jason Newsted in 1986. After Cliff's death, the band decided they were going to carry on, and with the Burton family's blessing, the band started doing auditions. They auditioned over 50 bass players, including guys like Les Claypool of Primus, but it was a 23-year-old massive Metallica fan named Jason Newsted who got the call. And this guy was ready. He had already learned their entire set list, and his energy was just on another level. But from day one, Jason was in an impossible position. He wasn't just joining a band. He was joining 3 grieving brothers. And their grief turned into hazing him relentlessly. He literally became the punching bag for all their anger and pain. But Jason took all of it. He just put his head down and decided to work harder than anyone, which earned him his nickname, the Workhorse. His style was the complete opposite of Cliff's. Where Cliff was melodic, Jason was an aggressive, pick-wielding rhythm machine. He saw his job as the glue, which held James's riffs and Lars's drums together. On stage, he was just an absolute maniac. Headbanging constantly and just screaming backing vocals that became a massive part of their live show. His first album, I should say his first true album with them, was And Justice for All. And it's infamous for one reason. You can't hear the bass. It's completely gone. For decades, fans thought it was the ultimate prank on the new guy. The truth is actually a lot crazier. Lars literally told the mix engineer to turn the bass down until it was basically muted. James later said his own guitar tone took up so much space that they just turned up the guitars and drums until the bass vanished. As you can imagine, Jason was crushed. But then came 1991's The Black Album. This is the album that made Metallica the biggest band on the planet. And on this album, you can finally hear him. His bass is the massive weight on tracks like Sad But True. Most importantly, the album has My Friend of Misery. This is crazy. It's one of only 3 Metallica songs Jason ever got a writing credit for. And the whole song is built around his bass line. It was a rare chance for people, I should say it was, a rare chance for him to prove that he could actually write. Throughout the 90s, Jason was the band's anchor. But even after all that success, he still wasn't getting any respect. He felt like his creative ideas were totally ignored. And the breaking point came in 2000. Jason started a side project called Echo Brain and asked the band to take a year off so he could focus on it. James absolutely hated the idea, saying a side project takes away from the strength of Metallica. And for Jason, that was it. That was the last straw. It was a total lack of respect after 14 years of giving them everything. So in January of 2001, he quit the band. He was the man who took all the abuse, powered them to global superstardom, and still never got the respect he deserved. He was the workhorse, and when he left, Metallica was about to completely self-destruct. All right, we've done the genius and the workhorse so far. 2 incredible, but 2 totally different players. Who's winning for you right now? Is it Cliff's innovation or Jason's sheer power? spam the comments right now and tell me who you got. And if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that button already, because we still have one more bassist to go. Okay, so if Jason joined the band during a tragedy, Rob joined during a complete meltdown. After Jason quit, Metallica entered its darkest chapter ever. You can see it all in their documentary film, Some Kind of Monster. It is wild. James went to rehab. The band was in therapy, and their producer played bass on the Saint Anger album. When it was time to tour, they needed someone permanent though. They needed a stabilizer, somebody who could anchor the band. Enter Robert. Robert wasn't some fanboy. He was a legit pro, actually. He had played with Suicidal Tendencies, Infectious Grooves, and even Ozzy Osbourne. He was a respected veteran with an insane stage presence. His audition was actually crazy. It wasn't even an audition, it was a power move. The band was so blown away by his skill, he played with this powerful, aggressive finger style that was 100% his own. And they were so blown away, they offered him the job and $1 million signing bonus, like on the spot. This wasn't just money though, it was a statement. Metallica was showing him they respect they never showed Jason. Which is really crazy, but you know, Rob's style is a completely new flavor from Metallica. His roots are in funk, which is interesting, and you can hear it. He plays with his fingers, but it sounds like a pick hitting the strings with the force of a hammer, sometimes using a 3-finger technique for this unbelievable speed. His stage presence is legendary. He has this low-slung primal stance doing his kind of famous crab walk, they call it. He's a physical, powerful performer who brought just a brand new energy to the band. His gear is also all about pure power. He's known for his 5-string Warwick and Zahn basses, giving him those earth-shattering low notes. And get this, Rob is now Metallica's longest-serving bassist, beating both Cliff's and Jason's time in the band. His first album that he played on was Death Magnetic, where his bass is finally loud and clear. But it's on Hardwired to Self-Destruct and 72 Seasons where you can see he's a true creative partner. Unlike Jason, Rob actually gets writing credits. More than just his playing, you know, Rob brought peace. His easygoing personality was exactly what Metallica needed to heal. He wasn't just a replacement. He was the guy who reinforced the entire band. He's the powerhouse who helped a legendary band find its footing and launch into the 21st century stronger than ever before. So after all that, who is the most important Metallica bassist? The crazy thing is, the answer is that they always had the perfect bassist they needed at the exact right time. First, you have Cliff, the genius. He was the teacher who made them actual artists. Then you have Jason, the workhorse. He was the soldier who dragged them to global superstardom. And finally, you have Rob, the powerhouse. He's the dude who saved them from breaking up and made them a stable, unstoppable force going into the 21st century. Cliff built the foundation. Jason built the skyscraper on top of it, and Rob is the bedrock, making sure it never falls down. You need all three. Take away any one of them, and the story of Metallica completely changes. Okay, now it's your turn. I want to see you guys battle it out in the comments. Who is the ultimate Metallica bassist? Cliff, Jason, or Rob? Let me know. And if you like this video, slap that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for hanging out.